Hey everyone, this is Kanisha, author of Be Your Own Boyfriend and founder of Kanisha.com. And I am here with Lincoln Anthony Blades, founder of ThisIsYourConscience.com. And today, Lincoln is going to give us some tough love advice on being our own boyfriend. And we're just going to learn a little bit more about Lincoln and who he is. So, Lincoln, on your Hey, Lincoln!
Hello, what's going on?
So, on your About page, you say that your site is about honoring those who display sense and criticizing those who have none at all. What makes you
hmm
so passionate about calling out idiocy and embracing what you call uncommon sense?
I think it's because a lot of our problems in relationships come from either self-imposed ignorance or just like willful ignorance. You know?
Okay.
So a lot of people choose to not do better. Like you know that phrase where they say if you knew better, you'd do better. I
Mm-hmm.
believe either A, people don't know better, or B, people do know better but just choose to not do better. And it's kind of that's why so much people end up in the relationship problems that they have.
Why do they choose to not do better even though they know how to do better?
Because some people don't understand that what they're doing is problematic. Because if it works, it doesn't seem like it's problematic. And if it seems like it's working, then someone telling you to improve seems like they're just preaching to you instead, even when they're trying to help you out. Like when you're in a terrible relationship, you don't really, sometimes you don't know you're in a terrible relationship until you're out of that terrible relationship
Yes.
and you're like, oh, that was terrible, you know? So that to me is like willful ignorance. I always say like relationships are kind of like a mountain, you know. So it's like first the relationship starts, you know, and when the relationship starts, it just keeps going up. You get to meet each other, you have that kind of honeymoon stage, and then once you hit the apex of that mountain, that's when like things start to get real. You know what I mean? When
Mm.
things start to get real, you start to learn about that person. For some people, they stay at that apex. You know, a good relationship stays at the apex. You obviously may come down and go up and down, but you basically always stay close to the top, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then, well, for some relationships, when you start to really find out who that person is and you don't like what you're seeing, you start sliding down, you know, backsliding down that mountain. But the problem is that when you're backsliding, because you've been to the mountaintop, you know that you can be at the mountaintop with that person. You always keep fighting, like, well, don't worry, I'll slide back up, and you don't slide back up. When you
There's no such thing as sliding up anything.
no, you're
You can
just
only
sliding
slide
down,
down.
but you're sliding down, but you're not looking down. Even though you're sliding down, you're not looking down. You're just looking back.
At the
You look back,
apex that's getting smaller and smaller.
and it's not until it's gone that you realize, oh my God, that was terrible. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? What just happened? You know?
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. I think I really like that. I read in a book, which book was it? Help, I'm in love with a narcissist, for an article I wrote for Ebony called 10 Signs You're in Love with a Narcissist. And one
hmm
of the signs, which I thought was interesting to show you that you're in love with a narcissist, is that you are clamoring incessantly to get back to that one good time or when things were good, the good old days. But really, it was probably like a good old day
Yep.
or week or date.
Mm-hmm.
And you projected a fantasy of what could be, and that's what you're trying to get back to is something that never was.
Exactly.
So, Lincoln, when you hear the phrase "be your own boyfriend," what does that mean to you?
Hmm. Well, okay, first, as a man hearing that, the first thing is it gives you a sense of exclusion. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because men are going to be like, be your own boyfriend. What does that mean? You know what I mean? And then the second thing is, I mean, maybe it's just me, but my mind goes directly into the gutter. So I thought it was some sort of book about like a vibrator or something like that, you know? And then once I actually got to read some of it, I was like, okay, I get exactly what she's saying, and it sounds cool. Like I agree. It's kind of a lot of the stuff that I try to preach to people on my site. This is yourconscience.com. Like there was one blog post I wrote where I said, in order for you to, before you can even think about being in love and in a relationship, you need to first love yourself. And then you need to go from there. You know, and I think that's kind of what be your own boyfriend speaks to me now.
Yeah, I think that was beautifully said, Lincoln. And I think it's completely fine that when men hear the title, their mind goes to the gutter, because that is the middle part of the book, is Unleash Your Sexy. And a part of the book is an orgasm a day and the importance of women being able to have physical and pleasure and experiences, whether or not they're in a relationship. So I'm fine if men get a little twinkly-eyed or whatever when they hear the title. Okay, so Lincoln, recently you had a fantastic post titled, Sometimes Love Isn't a Good Enough Reason to Stay Together. And I actually want to read a little excerpt from it.
Okay.
So I'm now reading from thisisyourconscience.com, and the blog post is, Sometimes love isn't a good enough reason to stay together. The truth is, love does not conquer all the time, because sometimes what your heart wants is not what's best for the totality of your mind, body, and soul. Sometimes love is not the all-encompassing guiding light and salvation of relationship troubles. Sometimes love is simply not a good enough reason to stay together, because occasionally it takes your heart too long to realize what your mind figured out a long time ago. This person is simply not good for us anymore, and it's time to respect ourselves and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
So, end excerpt. So, yeah, one of the sections of Be Your Own Boyfriend is titled Keep It Moving. And I also say, and expect nothing. And in that part of the book, I advise women to keep their expectations in line when they're casually dating. So if he's not your boyfriend, don't create boyfriend fantasies in your mind about what the relationship could be. Or if he's your boyfriend, but he's not your fiance, do not make life decisions around him as if he is your fiance. And so that's what I mean by the expect nothing. It doesn't mean like let guys treat you like crap, but it just means, keep your expectations in line. But the keep it moving part is like, if you realize someone's not good for you, or even if you just realize that someone's values are different than yours in a kind of deal breaker way, or they just want different things out of life, like just keep it moving.
Yeah.
So, how can women keep it moving, even when they still feel a lot of love for a man?
I think the one thing that you should always do in a relationship is that you should always have personal goals. And I think one of the biggest problems, and you know what, this is something that I'll say applies to women and men. There's one tendency that you have when you get into a relationship is that you can lose yourself in that person.
Yes.
Because growing up, that actually is a romanticized concept of being in a relationship. Growing up, like, when two people become one, and you're like, oh, yes, I want to become one with someone. But you don't realize that that's not a good relationship. A good relationship is two individuals working together as two strong individuals, right? So I think that if you want to be able to keep it moving, you need to keep your goals focused. Like, for example, if you have a goal that you want to be an entrepreneur, that goal should never be affected by your relationship status, because that's your own personal goal. So what happens is, if you're in a relationship, when you're looking at this goal, for example, and you start seeing that you're getting further and further away from that, then that's when you need to, that's your litmus test of saying, there's something wrong. Something's not working here, because now I'm not achieving any of my own personal goals. If you make all of your goals the same as the person that you're dating's goals, then you'll never know what you're personally achieving. You never see how bad it is until he leaves or she leaves, and then you're like, okay, well, now I don't have anything. You know what I mean? Because I've been in relationships where the relationship ended and I felt like I had nothing. I was just like, I don't know what to build on. Who am I? What do I want to do with my life? And it's because I let my goals, I lost sense of my personal goals. So I'd say the best thing to do to keep it moving is, before you get serious, always maintain your personal goals. And that doesn't mean that you have to be selfish, you know what I mean? But it does mean that you're staying focused on being the best you that you can be. Because when you're at your best, it's supposed to bring your relationship at its best too.
Beautiful. So Lincoln, this was awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you?
You can find me on my website. It's thisisyourconscience.com. You can find me on Twitter. It's at Lincoln A. Blades. Also, I have a book coming out called The Myth of the Multiple Orgasm.
Hello.
And I also have another book coming out, which will be my self-published book, which is called Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong.
Fantastic. And can they find the first book you mentioned, The Myth of the Multiple Orgasm, as well as Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong, at your website?
Yep, at thisisyourconscience.com.
Thisisyourconscience.com.
Exactly.
Thank you, Lincoln.
Oh, it's my pleasure.